Good day, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to African Brand Academy Podcast, your number one African podcast on brand development and digital transformation, giving you insight and effective strategies to grow, scale, and promote your brand. Here are your hosts, Sharon Alfred.
Hi guys, good day and welcome to another super episode on the African Brand Academy podcast. Today I'll be talking to a special guest. Yes, I'll not tell you his name now, but I'll tell you a story first. We're talking about how to build and improve your brand authority in any industry. So you will love to this guest, trust me. But then I won't tell you about how I got to know about him. I kept hearing this name, Clary Live Global, at work, and the ways they were pulling. So I decided to go and do my research on the founder. And then I really wanted to just see him and just meet him, even if it's one person, because of everything I was hearing and the magic or the miracles he was performing. So then I now found out that this person was not just a human, he was also an organization himself. And the last person I saw that was like that was my mom. And he was just a replica of this organization that just keeps giving back to the community. And I just had to bring him on because there's just too much value to be learned from him. So to give you a bit of insight on who is here, I'm with Mr. Simon Taiwo. I don't know if I pronounce that correct. If it's Mr. Simon or Mr. Simeon, because there's always a
Yes,
problem with
Simeon.
this. Is Simeon
Yeah.
okay? So to give you a bit of insight about him, he's a certified management consultant, a brand strategist, and a data analyst. He's founder and lead creative consultant at Clary Life Global, a leading brand development and web development agency in Port Harcourt, Nigeria. And he's also the founder of Teachers and Educators Forum, that's TEF Nigeria, a 12,000 plus capacity online community for educators, academic administrators, and school owners all over the world. He's the convener of the Brilliant and Talented Summit that hosts students from several schools in Port Harcourt, helping them to create sweet balance between academic brilliance and societal relevance by teaching them adaptive learning skills and helping them to refine their talents for relevance. And then he's the convener of the Celebrity Creative Boot Camp, a platform where he teaches upcoming and creatives on how to position themselves profitably in the industry and increase their perceived value to ultimately scale their businesses. Wow. Welcome, sir. It's an honor to have you here. Oh god.
Yes,
This
thank
is
you
this
so
is
much
too
for
much.
having me. The pleasure is all mine.
Wow. Um please, I would love to know first of all, can you please tell us a backstory of how you started and what motivated you to create these communities that you're convening right now?
Yeah, it's been a journey. I would say growing up as a young person, I have been fascinated about the idea of how people get to stand out in the midst of harsh competition. I was sharing this story sometime last month how I used to go to the market for my mom, and then I would see several women selling nearly the same thing in the market, going to buy groceries far back in, talking of 2003, 2004. And then, that local market, you see women selling different things, tomatoes, pepper, this and that. And then you see about 20 women lined up selling nearly the same thing. And then I'll be asking myself, how are these people surviving? In my mind, I was thinking that these people must be suffering. They must be having a very hard time in life. But as I grew, that curiosity didn't leave me. I kept on searching what exactly makes people, survive in business. Why would I even want to set up a business if there are several thousands of people doing the same thing I'm doing? And then that was how I stumbled upon the concept or the notion of branding. And then, trying to see how this became or this is an answer to my question. That curiosity led me to start digging deep into this subject matter of branding. And then that was how I developed so much interest about it and all of that. That's for the branding
Okay.
aspect. And then I got to know I wasn't going to use my certificate while I was in my final year. That was when it dawned on me that this your 2-1 certificate, you aren't going to use it. So the
What did you
same
study?
business. Yeah, I studied microbiology from the University of
Wow.
Port Harcourt. Yeah, I really loved the sciences. I loved, I chose the course myself, not that Jam gave me. I chose it myself. And then I really loved the whole idea of, all of those things we did in the laboratories and all of that. But during my IT, I saw that the reality in the real world of practicing that field is totally different from what we were told in school. And
Okay.
then it dawned on me that this is not my kind of person truly. I'm not just the kind of person I want to stay in one cubicle wearing one glorified white cloth and then, repeating the same thing day in, day out. That was
Mm,
too monotonous for my kind of person. So
mm.
that was when I knew that, man, I'm not going to practice this thing. It's better I go back to that my first love. So that's how I found myself in the field of branding.
So were you able to get your answer when you did your research more on branding?
Yeah, I started from the common, the usual entry point, which is design, doing graphics design and all of that. It's the usual, the easiest entry point into the industry. So I started from there, all these, the normal flyers, banners, and all
Yeah.
of those things. But then after a while, I began to ask myself a vital question.
Mm-hmm.
How am I really contributing to the growth of a business just by designing flyer for them?
Okay.
Because I was trying to find out what exactly is my value as a designer. Am I
Mm.
really solving any problem? Does anything really change? There is this there is this world that creatives live in. The idea of you can change the world on CorelDRAW, you can change the world on Photoshop. And I I am this kind of person that I try to think differently. That okay, let's go to the real field of play. How is it like to run a business in Nigeria? What
Mm.
value does a flyer contribute to the business of an entrepreneur?
Mm.
So that made me more curious to really know what exactly is design doing, and all of that. And then I happened to find out that truly it's not just about the look and feel. There are certain things that make the design really work, which brings
Yeah.
me to the statement of that Steve Jobs, that design is not how it looks, design is how it works. So that now even made me understand branding deeper from a broader perspective. That it's not just about the design. You can have the best of design. There's a quote I love so much. I read it somewhere. I can't remember the exact book. It says, "No good design can rescue a failed content."
Mm.
And that meant so much to me. Like, okay, so as a designer, you are not the only person who solves the problem. You still depend on several other factors being
Yeah.
considered and
Yes. Yes.
well
Yes.
satisfied even
Yeah.
before. So that is what really made me shift a little bit from concentrating on design to, because I'm more of a system thinker. I like to think broad, that okay, what's the real big gain here? And then how can we
Mm.
really solve a problem here? So that made me shift away gradually as I began to grow from concentrating on design to seeing how we can really take a broad look of a business and see how we can diagnose a problem or an imminent issue, and then see how we can come from the branding perspective to help put things right.
Oh, that's a good one. But I would like to ask though, at what point did you
Okay.
make this switch from just being the branding guy to being the brand strategist?
Yeah, I made that switch. That was about 3 years ago.
Yeah, because the reason I ask is because when I started out in this career of brand development, and I was looking up to see if I could see companies or even say mentors that could even take you on the path in Nigeria, and I couldn't find any. And then now I'm seeing
Hmm.
every designer being a brand strategist. And I'm like, where were you? Who woke us up? Like that kind of thing. Yeah, because when as a branding person, and then they came to you before, and they'll be like, do this logo for me, and then they'll be pricing you things like
Mhm.
1,000, 1,500, and tell you that they can get it in my one cheaper.
Exactly.
Yeah, I went to your website. You telling a company now to pay about $2,000 thereabout for a brand identity, and they're asking you, eh? I don't understand. Timothy from my own fee run out for me less than 5,000 naira. How do you get to now explain that thing to your clients? That okay, there's
I
been a
get,
switch.
I get your question very well.
So how are you not able to make that switch of trying to explain to them that okay, this is not game as before, this is what it entails and stuff like that?
Well, it's an interesting journey actually. The blunt truth is, I started out with the 5K, 2K, and all of those kind of things, and then I didn't just jump from that price to where I am today. It was a gradual movement. And then I
Okay.
must tell you the truth that I lost a lot of clients on the way. Not many of them could take the journey with me. And of
Yeah.
course, no hard feelings. I totally understand with them. For some, they felt I was becoming too proud and pompous and all of that. But then it's
That's the
their
thing.
opinion. Exactly. It's life generally. So,
Mm,
but then one thing I came to understand as I was growing is as I became more valuable, as I added more value to what I was doing, I
yeah.
got to realize that naturally I won't even be valuable to some audience, to some group of audience anymore. For
Yeah.
instance, if I see that you're a business owner, you just started, let's say, few months ago, and then you're just bootstrapping, there is no much fund on ground per se, and then you're still trying to learn the ropes. You're probably not the kind of client I want to work with, because even if you borrow money to pay me, the whole thing I'm going to do for you may not really add value to you that much, because after I've done everything I needed to do, there are still some internal systems and structures you need to put in place and maintain for
Yeah.
the whole thing to bring results. It is
Yes,
not
now.
just the design or the website or whatever that will bring the result. There has to be the human factor, the culture, and all of those things. Customer experience and all of those things. So when I say that you don't really have those capacity, that capacity on ground, it will be unfair for me to say I want to start selling to you. No, I won't sell to you. I
Yeah.
would rather refer you to someone that is probably at that level. I
At
like
that
to
level,
say
yeah.
that for every budget there are service providers, and for every
Mm.
price point there are customers.
That explains
Yeah.
it because it was hard for people like us to still even try to just still earn a living, but increase our prices because yeah, our value have increased now. We're just not normal designers, but then we are
Mhm.
yeah, we are more than that. I have talked about this thing in a previous episode before, but I want to get a view from you. Um,
Okay.
do you think there's a difference between brand development and brand strategy, or a brand developer and a brand strategist?
A brand developer and a brand strategist. I wouldn't say there is so much difference,
Okay.
because talking from the aspect of brand development simply means you're building an identity from scratch, and then it's the very first stage of developing a brand is to identify what the brand is. What's the current reality of the brand? What's the current state of the brand? And then what are the future projections? And then how is the brand going to be perceived in the market, and so who
Yeah.
who is the target audience of the brand. So these are the things that begin the process of brand development. And then we
Yeah.
were talking about strategy simply helps us to, I'm talking of brand strategy now. Brand strategy simply helps us to achieve a well-defined business objective, a
Okay.
well-defined business goal. If there is
Mm.
no objective in place, there is no long-term objective in place, strategy has nothing to do. The essence of
Yeah.
strategy is to create a roadmap to achieve an end goal, an end
And then go.
result, right?
Mm.
So
Mm.
if a brand developer comes, the main job of a brand developer is to create an identity that
Mm.
fits the future of the business.
Okay.
When a strategist comes, what the strategist does is to create a roadmap that helps to drive the communication of that identity
Mm.
towards the end result of the business, towards the desired end result of the business. So
The business.
basically, the two of them are working with similar frameworks.
Yeah.
When we are talking about the brand identity now, definitely we start with the brand DNA, the vision, the mission, the values, or the brand
Yeah.
story, and all of
Yeah.
that. These are the same things that the brand developer needs to create the identity, to create the visual communication, the verbal communication, and all of that. The
Yeah.
strategist also needs to work with this in order to see how we can talk about market penetration, gaining
Mm.
market share, and all of those things, communicating the value proposition, content strategy on all social media, and all of those things. Oh,
Yeah.
they use the same, very similar framework. They need the same set of information to do their job.
Mm.
So
Mm.
I think it's just a semantic kind of issue, so to say, because a brand strategist can well come into the play field of a brand developer and then
Mm.
diagnose the problem, see what is wrong. That okay, this identity you've developed or this communication you're using there will not help us to achieve our objective. And the same thing, a brand identity or a brand developer can look into the strategy play field and see that okay, this roadmap does not really align with the identity we have created. Both of them work hand in hand.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying because I know that there's strategy in the brand development cycle. So I feel that that is
Exactly.
where strategists supposed to probably come in and not
Mm-hmm.
give the strategist an idea to take from conception to launch.
Of
So that's
course.
why,
Of course.
yeah, because this has been a big thing for arguments in
Mm-hmm.
the industry. So I just wanted to also hear it from your voice too, so that they would know that I wasn't wrong.
I totally agree with you. I totally agree
Yeah,
with
yeah.
you.
To be honest, I have followed you for let's say 2 months or so, and
Wow.
if there's one thing I know that you have been able to do is to build authority in the brand development industry because you have been able to really position yourself and your company as an actual brand development company and not just a design or web design agency. So I
Yeah.
want you to take us through on how whether a personal brand or a corporate brand can gain clarity and also amplify their voice in their industry, regardless of where it is. Though I know that I've also used your clarity workbook just because I wanted to
Wow.
just make sure that I wanted to make sure that okay, I'm actually on the right path. I actually had to print it out. I know it's in a PDF. I printed it down and filled it myself. I'm like, this is probably the fifth or sixth brand workbook I'm going to fill. I'm going to still fill it just to know that okay, I'm on the
Wow.
right path. So
That's
I want to ask
interesting.
how can one gain brand clarity and actually know what their brand stands for and how to amplify that voice in their industry so that people can get to know them and know that they exist.
Hmm. Wow, this is actually like asking me to write a book because it's quite it. Well, let's start from somewhere. So let's start from the brand clarity aspect. From the clarity aspect, I would say the most important or vital factor is authenticity, knowing what your story is, knowing what your strength, your weakness, your experience in life, what exactly is that part of you that you're bringing into the industry. What exactly is that thing that is genuine, authentic to you that you're bringing into the industry that can serve
Mm,
as probably that connector between you and your audience? Because I love to say that when it comes to clarity, clarity is like peeling an onion bulb. It's like a
yeah, yeah.
journey. You keep peeling and peeling till you get to that purest form where it truly talks about the whole essence of who you are. And then we all are product of our
Mm,
stories, the experiences we've been through in life, the incidences, the events, and all of those things form who we are. The battles, the struggles we've overcome, and all of those things. These are the things that really mold our identity to who we are. So, I love telling business leaders or brand leaders to think retrospectively, like look into the past. What are those turning points of your life that really made a remarkable imprint on who you are today? And then what are
okay.
those things that have formed your ideologies, your values, your beliefs, and all of those things, how you view life, and all of those things? That's one aspect. And then the second aspect is to evaluate yourself in terms of what are your core strengths, what are the abilities you have, the skills you have, what are your competencies and all of those things. And then the third
Okay.
aspect is to look around you, what is happening in the industry. I like to put it this way, that until you know what is obtainable, you may not have the chance to do the remarkable, because you need to know what is on ground first.
Yeah.
Know what is available on ground first. You can now know how best to position yourself so that you can you can appear different.
Mm.
You understand? So you've looked at your past, you've evaluated your story. What are those, those significant points of your life that really made a mark on who you are today? And then you've looked within yourself. What are your core strength abilities? For instance, someone like me, I'm a systems thinker.
Okay.
That's one strength I have, and then it plays out in everything I do. And that is probably one of the things that made me to not just be a designer and then to be a strategist, because I quickly looked away from design to start seeing the big game. There is this
Yeah.
story of three bricklayers being asked the same question. One was asked, "What are you doing?" He said, "I'm just laying a brick." The third one was asked, "What are you doing?" He said, "I'm raising a wall, or I'm building a wall." The third one was asked, "What are you doing?" He said, I'm building a house." Now,
Mm.
the three of them are bricklayers. They are doing practically the same thing. If you go to them to see what they are doing at that moment, they are practically doing the same thing. But their thinking in their head is different.
Mm.
One was only thinking on just that activity he's doing at the moment. The second one
Right.
was just thinking a few meters away, a few meters broader than the first one. But the third one was having the holistic picture of what everything should look like at the end of the day. The truth is,
Yeah.
the third one is actually the most valuable bricklayer, because it's the one that can make solid decisions that are not just for the moment, but for the sake
Yeah.
of the
Okay.
future.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. That's true.
So I know that system thinking is my own core strength. So yeah, and then when I was coming into the industry, I was also listening to what everybody was saying. I was observing what exactly is the common language, the common lingo and all of those things in the
Yeah.
industry. What was the major emphasis in the industry and all of that.
Mm.
And then immediately I began to, join the dot and see what was common. It now made me to see, okay, what are the gaps? What are those things that people are not yet saying? What are
Yeah.
those areas that people are not yet emphasizing on? And then I
Mm.
simply pitched my tent around there. So
Mm.
that was how that's been my journey of gaining clarity and then being able to position myself. So I try to relate with my story. What exactly is my story? How can I be authentic in this field and not
Yeah.
sound like some
Every other person.
already exactly? And then I try to understand what exactly do I have as a competence that is beyond the hard skill, something that
Yeah.
is that can serve as a competitive edge, so to say. And then
Mm.
the third thing was I looked around to see what is everybody doing, what is everybody saying, and then what
Mm.
can I say differently that can draw the attention of the people that matter to me.
Yeah. 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 So that's how you were now able to amplify your voice. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, it's easier to
Mm.
amplify your voice when you sound unique
Mm.
than when you are
Yes.
just saying the same thing that people are already used to.
I think people don't like really go through this process. They just jump right into it. Whether it's business or whether it's a personal brand, they just okay, I
Yeah,
want to do this, and then they just follow the crowd. And some people just probably jump
exactly.
because like what you were saying now, if I'm to just list out what you just talked about, it's more like okay, I have to reflect on my past. Where's my point B and where's my point A? Where am I coming from and where am I now?
Mm-hmm.
How can I
Mm-hmm.
help my so-called audience, or what do I want to portray myself as? Right? Do my research.
Exactly.
What is in the industry? What is going on and everything? Then listen. Actually listen. Take time to listen and say, okay, people spend 2 years doing social listening. Some people don't know this. Brand development is not a 3 months job. Brand development can take years
Exactly.
just to create a brand
Exactly.
like that will stand the test of time, that will actually be, it's not just a 2 months kind of project, no.
Oh,
And
it's
then you now
exactly.
learn
Exactly.
after you listen, you learn, then you define your message. Okay, so this is what is being said in the industry, this is what's happening in my market. What am I bringing that is
Mm-hmm.
different? What am I bringing that is different? And then I actually know my audience and talk to that audience. So that is now me amplifying my
Exactly.
voice. That summarizes it well.
And I just remembered something now that
Yeah.
you really did a great job. You summarized it perfectly. Thank you so much for
Oh,
that. And then I just
thank you very much.
remembered something. I just
Okay.
remembered something now. And then that was I also learned early not to communicate just product and services. I
Mm,
learned
mm,
early to communicate emotional value, to
yeah.
communicate ambitions and goals, not just product and services.
Mm.
So
Because
it was one of it.
that is the secret to why they even buy. That's the secret why they work with you. If you don't know, mm,
Exactly. And that is where
exactly.
most people get it wrong. A lot of people just communicate, we are the best this, we are the fastest that, we are the easiest
Yeah.
this, we are the. And the truth is, you yourself, you know you are lying because you know that you are not the best.
Yeah, but yeah, so that's what you see almost on every like all these strategies by you. I'm best at this, I'm best at
Exactly.
that. But it's not that people, if someone is actually looking for a strategy or something and they keep saying that and they see one that actually stands out or talk to them. Like
Mm-hmm.
my own story for entering the brand development industry was because hey, it's almost it's funny enough, we almost have the same story in retrospect though. Not
Interesting.
like that kind of thing. I actually helped my mom a lot in business. Like I helped her so much, her exchanges of like different businesses she was in. And then that
Wow.
was not even the idea, the reason why I started business. I'm someone that was introverted. So when I was in secondary school, I
Wow.
always talk to myself. I always think about my future too. And then my friends would be like, Sharon, calm down, calm down. So from early on, I felt that I am not someone that can actually stand a boss. Like
Mm.
I only wanted to just be like, I don't like being scolded or being shouted at. So then I said, mm-mm, so that I'll not go and cause problem in the workplace. Let me just actually build my own thing because I know that I don't like being scolded at. Just because of that, that's why I wanted to enter into business. So
Mm,
I left secondary school and then immediately I went to do this travel agency training stuff for reservation and stuff. And then after
okay.
that, I have not gotten connections. I have not done anything. I started using my savings to do banners, paste on NEPA posts, all those kind of things.
Wow.
I literally started a company in travel with just having a training and probably no even practice. Like I've not actually even done it for someone in real life, but I was like, okay, let me start getting customers and stuffs like that.
Mm,
Preferably, I started over 3 4 companies okay, no, yeah, in the space of 5 years I started over 3 4 companies, filled. So I
wow.
keep asking myself, what is the problem? And to be honest,
Mm,
I failed in event hosting, I failed in business. So sometimes I normally
mm,
call myself so much of a failure, but then my friends try to bring it back and be like, you learned at least. And for every reason I failed, I actually learned a big lesson. But because I didn't have a mentor or anything, like I went in head on,
mm,
I had to actually go through those failures.
mm.
So my point B now is
I
okay, I
get
have
you.
learned those failures and I know what's right. Someone who is just starting out who wants to actually do that in my own point A of not knowing anything, how can I help that person build that thing, that idea, that business from idea to launch, and then it's something that is
Mm-hmm.
sustainable? Yeah, because like on that reason, I actually went to brand development because I was tired of seeing companies that just start up and then end in 2 years, like my own, too, because I
Mm.
kept closing the companies. So why did
I
they start
can
up? Why did they end?
imagine.
Yeah, why can't the company last to my next generation? Yeah, because I started seeing a lot of
Mm-hmm.
Chinese companies that even last 3 generations, and then Nigeria own don't.
Exactly.
I
Exactly.
think if Dangote dies now, Sef, I'm not sure Dangote will continue in the next 10 years because the company is divided about around him. So that is how
Of
crazy
course.
Nigerian in the industry is. So I was like, how can I bring this message to people on how their businesses can actually last over 50 years and actually grow and adapt to every environment or every time change, that kind of thing. So that is why me, I entered into brand development. But position yourself as a brand now, or sorry, position your brand as an authority is something that I also
Mm-hmm.
want us to talk about because yes, it's okay to start a brand and everything, and not everybody can be or do okay. Let me ask first: can every brand become an authority in their own will I say industry or market?
Well, of the truth is, we can't have what's it
Plenty
called?
authority.
We can't have two captains in a ship.
Yeah, yeah,
So the way life runs already tells us that it's not possible for us to have several authorities in the same niche. There has to be
yeah.
someone who is leading the niche.
That's why I thank
So
you very much for saying the niche part because people keep thinking is okay, I want to dominate the whole brand development industry,
Oh,
or
come
like brand
on,
cause I want
come
that.
on.
No, because the reason is because they don't even know they're supposed to first of all get their own niche before actually even dominating or
Exactly.
something or being known in that niche. So they want to just like, I want to be, I'm the best, I am the sought after in Africa.
The person will kill die quick. You know what that means? That's a heavy load.
It's a no, they want to become the next Chris Do of future. So, but they don't understand that he has even left design and went to design education. Truly,
Exactly,
and then
exactly.
dominated the niche. So I think I just wanted to point that thing out that you said about niching first before we continue.
Mhm.
And the truth is that being an authoritative brand, right? It's not everybody that's been chasing after it, or it's not everybody that's supposed to chase after it. The thing
Sure.
there is that you actually just have to know who your actual, in fact not even your audience anymore, but your persona is going to go, like the person you're trying to reach,
True,
right?
true, true.
And then make
That's
sure
just
that,
it.
yeah, and then make sure that you are top of mind in that person. That is you self have been an
Exactly,
authoritative brand for me. Oh, that's for me.
exactly. You got it perfectly right. I used to say that as a brand, you are not in competition with any other similar brand around you.
Mm,
It's not the game of being trying to be better than brand B or trying to be better than brand D. It's a game
okay,
of trying to be better for the same people you are serving, trying
okay.
to do better for them today than you did yesterday.
Mm,
That's just the journey. That's the
yeah,
journey. And that was one thing Apple emphasized on. They just
yeah,
wanted to be
yeah.
better for the audience they are serving.
Mm, mm,
And then people are more drawn to you. People stick better to you when they see that you are carrying them along on the journey.
yeah.
They can see your trajectory, they can see your progress, they can see how you improved from one point to another,
From
how
one
you
point
keep
to
getting
another,
better,
yes.
how you keep innovating. It is the innovation that they are seeing, the improvement that they are seeing that keeps them glued to you.
Mm,
Not that you are coming as the all in all. I don't arrive, I don't do no, 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 no. It's a journey. Both you, the brand, and the audience, you are taking them on a journey. For instance, when Indomie started, you find out
yeah,
that their marketing campaign they used more of children between the ages of, let's say, five, 5, 6, 7, thereabouts when they
yeah,
just started, because their audience generally were basically kids then. No adult
yeah.
was really interested in Indomie then. But you see that
Mm,
as they grew, they now realized that way to the people who were 5 years, seven
mm.
years
And
ago,
now,
now they are 12 years
now
old.
adult. Yeah, yeah.
Exactly. So as their audience was growing, they also began to grow in the communication. Now you see a full
Mm,
family in their campaigns, in their videos. Now they are
mm,
capturing. So they are evolving the same way their audience is evolving. I used to say that your target customer is not one fixed entity. Your target customer is a person on a journey.
yeah.
If you start with them 3 years ago, maybe they were students, maybe they were just fresh graduates. 3 years later, perhaps some of them are already getting married. Realities have
Mm,
changed to them. So it's about growing with the audience you're serving.
mm.
It's not about trying to be better than one person.
Or trying to even follow one person. It's also finding your own
Exactly.
journey and being your own
Mhm.
person.
And
Yeah.
you see a lot of brands, they chase competition and leave their audience behind.
Mm.
That's a mistake a lot of brands do. They are busy chasing competition and their audience cannot even catch up anymore.
And they have very crappy customer experience. Please add that part.
Exactly.
If I'm correct, we've been able to understand who we are as a brand. We've been able to get that clarity,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then
Mm-hmm.
we've been able to
Yep.
amplify our voice and know, okay, this is what we are
Exactly.
saying, this is our message. And then we're able to say, okay, me positioning myself as a authoritative brand is me actually serving the person I am called to, and not just me trying to
Exactly.
copy and this thing, but actually me trying to serve that person and being top of the person's mind in business decision
Mm-hmm.
or whatever it is. Because even if you follow TikTok influencers and everything, most of them are actually just, most of the top people or whatever are actually very, very how do I put this now? They are very singular. Like there's nobody like them.
Mm,
They have this one thing
mm.
about them. So if you're trying to be like them, then you're just back in the crowd. You're just in the
Of
background.
course, of
Yeah.
course.
So you actually have to have your own message and have your own thing, your own swag, your own personality. That's where brand development.
Exactly,
Yeah. Then you
exactly.
have to now amplify that message or whatever or the personality you're
Mm-hmm.
trying to
With
to your audience
consistency.
with consistency and storytelling, please. Storytelling.
Exactly.
Yeah, and actually let them follow your journey, whatever it is. That's why it does. You don't have to be the authority yet, but them following you to the authority part means they have also even build trust in you and be like, I've seen this person reviews, I've seen what this
Mm-hmm.
person have done. Have you heard of? And then if something comes up in their like in their own influence or in their own circle, and they'll be like, okay, I need this person. Like, I have this person I'm following, that kind of thing. She can do this, she can do that.
That's true.
Finish on all of that, the next thing is how can we now start developing relationships to get high paying clients as a business brand, for instance, and we've been able to do all this.
Mm-hmm.
Though we won't start with high paying clients, like you said, like both of our journey, we started with 5,000 naira for design and everything. But then, how can we do that transition to attracting high paying clients as we've been able to build authority in our niche?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, the thing is, some of my discoveries on this journey is that as long as I kept serving low paying clients,
Mm,
there was nothing for me to attract, or there was nothing for me with which to attract high paying clients. And
okay.
yeah, so I realized that it was difficult for me to attract high paying clients as long as I was still serving low paying clients. So I needed to detach from low paying clients in order to start attracting high paying clients. And then I noticed that I needed to understand human psychology. I needed to understand how high paying clients really think, the kind of
Mm,
things that tickle their fancy, where they do converge, how do they go about getting recommendations for what they need,
mm,
right? And then what are the kind of communication that attract high paying clients? What are the kind of stories I needed to be telling in order to attract high paying clients? So I
okay.
needed to learn some of these things
Mm,
before, and then they are more of psychological before I could start attracting them. So
mm,
one of the things I had to do was to revamp Clarilife Global website. The
okay.
entire communication of the website, I had to revamp it. I had to start paying keen attention to the kind of content we're releasing on social media. And then even myself as a personal brand, I had to start paying attention to the kind of content I was releasing, the kind of stories I was telling, the kind of issues I was discussing, the kind of
Mm,
subject matters I was contributing to. I had to intentionally started paying attention, to some
to
of these
that.
things.
Okay.
Exactly. Because these are the little signals. Because brand communication is about you are sending signals, and then
Mm,
people on the receiving end are getting the signals, and then they're supposed to send you a response. And
yeah.
then as someone who is building a brand, the one thing that makes branding or brand building effective is that you are able to monitor and measure what is the accuracy of your communication, and are you getting the exact response you really wanted to get. Like I did,
Mm,
I forgot to mention this part of my story. When I started out Clarilife Global, put some I put down some notes on paper, and then
mm,
I asked myself, what are the things you really want to be known for? What are the things you want people to say about you
yeah.
after you finish serving them? Like, what
Mm,
are the responses or feedback you want people to give after you have finished serving them? And I began to write out some things, and then basically in form of adjectives that I want people that I want to reflect in the words that my clients are using in
yeah.
describing how I serve them. So I began to write down those adjectives, and then after writing those adjectives, I began to ask myself, what are the things I need to start to do? What are the kind of what is the culture or the experience I need to create in order to
Mm,
achieve these results? And I
okay.
listed them down. And then I told myself that I will ensure that I subject myself to these rules or to these values
Yeah.
in order to
Mm,
create this experience. And guess what?
experience.
It
Yeah.
wasn't it wasn't up to 6 or 7 months of serving
Mm.
people that by the time I send them our Google My Business link to put their review on the Google My Business page,
Yeah.
those words I wrote down in paper started reflecting in the exact words that clients are using on their reviews.
Mm.
So that is me defining how I wanted to be perceived,
Yeah.
communicating it through my behavior and through the experience they are getting, and then
Mm-hmm.
getting their feedback and seeing the accuracy of my communication. Because if you
Mm-hmm.
communicate something and the receiver does not get what you are saying, then there is something wrong in your communication. Communication is not only in words or promises,
Mm.
communication is also in the fulfillment of those promises and the experiences
Yes.
you are creating along the line. So
Uh,
these are the things I began to pay attention to in terms of promise, the kind of promises I was making, and then the
uh,
kind of experiences I was creating to deliver on those promise. And do these things really align to the triggers of high-paying clients? Because I realized that high-paying clients, there's a way they think about business, there's a way they think about money, there's a way they think about value, totally different from low-paying clients.
yes, totally
Totally
different.
different from low-paying clients. Most times, high paying clients are just interested in you, giving them something very simple, something very unique, something that is straight to the point. No plenty drama, no complex details. Make it straight on, make it simple, right? And then
Yes.
sometimes they're just looking for something to make a statement. It's just their ego they're concerned about.
Mm.
And then sometimes what they just want is peace of mind, something that can give someone that can give them rest of mind, someone that can give them the premium experience that they are looking for.
Experience that,
That
yes,
is
that you
something
won't be following up.
exactly that you give them a time that within so hours you get this and you get that, and then you are able to carry them along on the process and all of those things. So they want
Mm.
someone whose processes are well defined.
Yes.
So
Mm.
I began to take note. What are the things that high-paying clients want to see? What are the things they want to observe? What are the things they want to feel about you before they start coming around? These were the things I began to put in place one after the other, one after the other. Yes, it took time and investment. Of course, you have to. The cost of high-paying client is higher than the cost of low-paying clients.
Yeah.
So it took time and investment, but then it paid off eventually.
I like that. I like that. Wow. I need to go back and listen to this thing again. If you did not catch everything, better go back and listen again. I'll go back and listen again. That was really insightful. Wow. Okay, so before we go, I would love you to talk a bit about your book, Suspected to Trusted, because it's one book that
Yeah.
is really dear to my heart. I want you to talk a bit about it.
Yeah, the idea behind from suspect to trusted, I realized that when I was starting out, in my journey, a lot of people looked at me like, what's this one doing? Who is this one that has just come again? What's he saying? And then, I realized that gradually the same people who were casting aspersions and then just wondering who is this one, where is he coming from, blah, 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 what does he know, and all of that, gradually they started paying attention. Gradually they started falling in love. Gradually they started becoming the advocate of the brand. So it
Mm,
made me realize that, wait, this thing is a journey. Every brand that is trusted today was once a suspect.
yeah.
Can't just show up suddenly and expect everybody to just love you and fall in, and start falling over for you suddenly. It doesn't happen
Yeah.
that way. People first of all look at you with one eye, that who is this one? Where is it coming from? And then gradually, so it made me understand that the real journey of brand building is you leading people into an experience of yourself, leading people into an awareness of who you are and an experience of the value you offer. So that is the idea behind from suspect to trusted. It's a kind of a workbook or a brand building companion that can help you to define your reality as a startup brand who's just entering into whatever industry it is you're entering, and then chart the course of how you can grow from being unknown to being known, liked, and trusted.
Wow. I will link the book to the in the description below. You guys should get it. I'm serious.
Yes,
It's
thank you
it's
very
an
much.
eye
Thank
opener
you.
that it's meant for everybody. And then I think he also, like I was saying in the beginning, he has a workbook on
Yeah.
gaining clarity on your brand. But it's free and it's on his website, which I'll also link in the description below. So check him out. And you can also message him on WhatsApp. Like, he is that accessible. That is one thing that shocked me to my
Yeah.
core is the fact of how accessible he is. So I'll drop that too. And I want to tell you congratulations on the launch of your branding school.ng.
Yeah,
Can we
thank
talk
you
about
very
that a bit
much.
more, bro?
Yeah, yeah. So brandingschool.ng, it's an initiative, so to say, and then I've come to realize that there is this disconnect between small business owners who can't really afford much, let's say, who are still within their first 5 years in business, and then probably bootstrapping with minimal funding, and there is this disconnect between them and then the real brand expert out there. The real brand
Yeah.
expert out there who all are shooting for high paying clients, those that can pay in thousands of dollars and all of that. And then there is this disparity, there is this gulf that has been naturally created between those who are really doing well in the field of branding and the startup brands who are trying to look for help. So that is why we
Okay.
created the brandingschool.ng. And then the idea is to be able to target those who will be able to afford very little, very little. It's like you're not really spending much, you're not, risking much, and then you're really getting much value. And then the idea is for business owners to really understand what this branding really is, and then to see it in a very practical and relatable way, such that they can immediately start applying it to their businesses right on the
Mm,
spot. And then part of the things we did is such that every course on that platform is no more than 30 minutes. You finish it in 30 minutes because you
yeah.
understand what it means to be a startup. Startup,
Mm,
being a startup brand or being a small business owner, it's very cumbersome, and then you don't have so much time to be wasting on things that don't give you value. You're looking for quick answers to imminent problems. So that is
mm,
how we have positioned the product on that school, the courses, the books on that platform. They're no more than 10 pages. And every book is solving just one problem. Every course is solving just one problem. We are not trying to solve 10 problems at once,
mm,
so that you can easily locate what you are looking for. You don't have to be roaming around looking for where can I find this particular issue.
yeah.
Every time you come to the place, you easily locate whatever it is you're looking for. If it is the problem of um marketing you're looking for, if it is the problem of team building, if it is the problem of how to connect with people on social media, if it is the problem of how to communicate your brand better in order to sound more authentic, in order to sound more what's it called now, more trusted and all of that, whatever it is you're looking for, as long as, and then we made it in such a way that you can even drop your request on your dashboard. Okay, I'm having this particular issue and it's not currently available, can you trash it out? Within 1 week that issue will be trashed out and you have access to this stuff.
Wow.
So that's how we are designing it in such a way that it can suit the realities of small business owners.
Mm. Oh, this is beautiful. This is a need in the market, especially in the African market, where brands are still trying to
Exactly.
understand what brand development is and why they should actually engage into brand development or even
Hmm.
market having a marketing strategy or whatever. So
Exactly.
we thank you, sir. We thank you for this initiative, sir. This is something that it's actually needed. So you can also
Thank you
get that
very much.
on brandingschool.ng, and then you'll be able to access any of these courses and books that will be readily available for shikini money, for nothing, almost nothing. So,
Exactly.
with this, we have come to the end of today's episode. I am so, so, so grateful, sir. Thank you so much for this. It
It's a
was really
pleasure.
a honor to talk to you. Don't forget to come through again next week, Monday. We'll have another episode for you. Thank you for joining me this week. I'll be back next week with more information. So have a great week ahead and God bless you. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Follow if you haven't followed. You can show some love. We want to get to feel your 2 cents. So just drop a review, subscribe to our channel, join the conversation, join the communities. In our community, we talk every day. So even if we come here and talk once in a week in our community, we talk every day. If you have a question pertaining to branding or business development, you can email us at africanbrandacademy@gmail.com or message us on any of the social media platforms or social media communities, and I will be able to answer you on the next episode. It could be your question, and even if I'm not able to answer you here directly, I'd make sure to answer you in the communities. And this is Sharon Alfred saying ciao. Take care.